friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name's Amanda. So in today's video, I've got 3 delicious crock pot meals for y'all. These are perfect, those fall cozy meals. They're just perfect for this time of year. I really think you're going to enjoy them. And one is basically like Thanksgiving in a crock pot. And I don't know about y'all, but like that's one of my favorite things to eat. So I'm excited to share all of these with y'all. But let's go ahead and get into this video. Let's go ahead and get started on the crock pot chicken and dressing. And y'all, this is really just like Thanksgiving in a crock pot. I mean, it really is. So I've got a bunch of crumbled homemade cornbread. So I just use self-rising cornbread mix, and I just follow like the directions on the bag or whatever, whatever recipe you want to use for, cornbread. And then crumble that up. It does need to be a 9 by 13 pan. I also used a few buns because that I had left. It said 4 slices of bread, like hamburger hot dog buns, toasted and broken into pieces. So I did that. I'm also adding in some poultry seasoning and some sage. And I didn't really measure these. I just kind of put in there what looked right. So, definitely feel free to do however you'd like on that. I'm also going to add in some diced onion and diced celery. I just had some frozen celery in my freezer that I had just prepped at one point and froze, and that makes it so handy that anytime you need to use celery. And we're adding in some chicken broth. Now I will say I didn't really measure the veggies either because I already had some that was diced up. I would actually up the veggies in this next time. I would add a lot more, so probably at least double what I put in there. And then I added some cream of chicken soup, melted butter, a little bit of pepper. Of course, you can add some salt in here too if you want to. I did not. The recipe called for 1 hard-boiled egg. I've actually never put hard-boiled egg in my dressing, but I thought, I really did want to try it. I know a lot of people do, so I put that in there. But I will be honest with you, 1 really wasn't enough to even notice it. So if you do like hard-boiled egg in your dressing, I would use more than that. I don't really know how many, but maybe 4 or something to where you can actually notice it, because I didn't really notice it. So now at this point I noticed it seemed a little dry to me, so I added what was left of the chicken broth in the box. So I feel like you probably just need to kind of play that by ear. You don't want it to be too dry, but obviously it depends on too how you like your dressing. Do you like it more moist? Do you like it drier? So definitely feel free to kind of adjust that. But I did use more than what the recipe called for. Next, we're going to take half a can of cream of chicken soup and spread that on the bottom of the crock pot. And then we're going to start layering our dressing and the shredded chicken. And, just keep making that, just make those layers essentially. And then we're also going to top it with the rest of the cream of chicken soup. So you do use 2 cans of cream of chicken soup in this recipe. I personally always use either the Healthy Request Campbell's or the unsalted. I'm so thankful they came out with the unsalted. And those, work really well for me. But again, you use whatever you would like to use. You could also make homemade too if you want to do that. Would definitely be, I bet that would be actually really delicious in this too. So now with most of my crock pot stuff, I usually start it on high for an hour and then turn it down to low if it needs to go on low. And this one would be recommended to be cooked on low. So I did an hour on high and then the rest on low. And it's going to take about 5 hours. You're going to kind of be able to tell, everything in it's cooked essentially. The veggies aren't fully cooked, obviously. And you could definitely saute those if you wanted to before you put them in there. But you can see it is all nice and yummy. This is true comfort food. Y'all, Thanksgiving food is my favorite meal ever. I could probably eat that meal, once a week. And so this was a nice little taste of Thanksgiving. It would also be really great if you didn't want to, make a big Thanksgiving meal, you could do this and then make your sides, and you could actually cook your turkey the day ahead and put turkey in this instead of chicken, and that would work great too. So definitely recommend that recipe. Now we're going to get started on our crock pot pulled pork, and I do this the way a friend of mine told me to do it. So she covers it with a good layer of seasoned salt. Now I didn't use seasoned salt because it is just so high in sodium, but I used kind of the ingredients in seasoned salt, and then I also added some garlic salt because it is a little lower, and I didn't use a ton or anything like that. And so you can just do whatever works for you, but she does use seasoned salt. And then we also add 1/4 cup of vinegar, and it looks like I might not have got a footage of me adding the vinegar in there, but you do want this to cook on low either overnight or all day throughout the day, up to you. And then I usually always start mine out, like I've said before, on hour on high just to bring it up to temperature, and then I turn it down. So we just want to get it really, falling apart. Now, I decided to go ahead and make like one of the vinegar based barbecue sauces for this. It's actually called Carolina vinegar barbecue sauce. I just found a recipe online, and it's just a cup of apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of ketchup, a tablespoon of brown sugar, a little bit of red pepper flakes, some salt and pepper. And I just wanted to make something to kind of go on it that was kind of different, and so I thought this would be a great thing to use. We really loved this barbecue sauce. It was really good, so we'll definitely make this again. Now you're just going to bring it to a boil until the sugar dissolves, let it cool, and then you can store it in your refrigerator. And the recipe said it could be stored up to 3 weeks, so that it has pretty good, shelf life on it. Now our pork is done. It's ready to be pulled, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull it out of the crock pot. I do remove all the fat pieces I can find. It's just, I just don't like the fatty pieces at all. So I go pull all that out, take the bone out, all that good stuff. And then I kind of just, shred it up essentially. And so it is absolutely really easy. Really the hardest part of this recipe, or I guess the most time consuming, is the shredding it up. And, if you don't mind keeping the fatty areas in there as much, then it would probably be even easier, but I like to pick all that out. And so this actually got devoured so fast in our house, like I was not expecting. I had not made pulled pork in forever, and I forgot how much everybody liked it. And I was thinking about, I could do like a video of what you can do with leftover pulled pork or something like that. And nope, it all got eaten way too fast, and I couldn't do that. So now we're just gonna make some sandwiches with this. I've toasted my buns, and I've got some mayonnaise going on here. We're also going to use some pickles. I used it like a little bit of, I think, KC Masterpiece and the vinegar. I think I kind of did both, if I remember right. And we just served these with like some chips. But y'all, such an easy recipe, and you can get so much more than like you go, like if you go and order it. I know that we have a place that has the sells it by the pound, the pulled pork. And I think it's like, I don't know, maybe $12, $14. And this was on sale. So I got that huge amount, which is way more than you would get from like a barbecue joint, for probably like about the same, So I can't remember exactly how much that pulled pork, or the Boston butt, I think is what it's called, how much that was. But it was on a really good sale. And so anytime you catch those on sale, it's great to use them for things like this. You could also freeze this and then, pull it out later. So, and there are some great ways to use leftover pulled pork, like nachos and like a pulled pork baked potato. There's so many different things you can do with it. So maybe one of these days I'll try to do a video on that too. But definitely recommend cooking it this way. It was really delicious. So now we're going to go ahead and get into our crock pot potato soup. And with fall being in here, it's just definitely soup weather. And I just love, crock pot meals. They're just kind of like cozy meals for the fall. We have had a few days it's been a little warmer. It's still not cooled off permanently yet here in Tennessee, but it'll get there. So to me, potato soup is comfort food. So I was definitely wanting to make some kind of potato soup, and I found this recipe, and this was really good. Now let me know in the comments, how your week was. Definitely, like, always love to get to the weekend. This week was a little crazy, but we had to get our hot water heater replaced on Thursday, and so I'm very thankful to have nice hot water again. So that's good. But yeah, I'd like to know how y'all's week went, and maybe if you have any weekend plans, what all you've been doing this weekend. I feel like it's such a fun time of year, like we're building into the holidays and all that stuff, and so lots of us are busy doing lots of different things and planning what we're going to make for Thanksgiving and all that fun stuff. So would love to hear more about that in the comments. And so I went ahead and added some garlic, some diced onions. We're also going to put in some pepper in here. Now this recipe called for some different herbs that I did not have, so I just kind of used a few of the things that it mentioned was in that. So I also added the red pepper flakes. I did put a little bit of garlic salt, a little bit of basil, and let's see, I think it was just a tiny bit of dill and some chives, and then 40 ounces of chicken broth. And essentially this cooks like for about 2 to 3 hours, it said. But honestly, what I did was I put it on kind of late the night before, and I let it cook all night on low. So I let it, again, I like to go for about an hour on high, and then I turned it down to low. And then in the next morning I actually finished it. And what's funny is I actually had that for breakfast. But hey, it doesn't matter. It's food is food. So You know, doesn't really matter which one you eat for breakfast. Now, I tried the trick with the grater of laying it on its side and grating it instead, and that actually was easier. So, you know, if you want to try that, it did seem to work. And I really like that grater with the little container in there to hold the cheese. But once this is all done, we're going to go ahead and like kind of mash a little bit of it up. You don't want to mash all of it, well, unless you want it to be more smooth. But you kind of want it to have those pieces in there, those chunks, but not, but kind of add a little bit of thickness to it. And so just mash it a few times and it'll be good. Then we're going to add in some, well, this was actually heavy cream mixed with milk because I did not have a half and half. The recipe called for half and half. And then we've got some cheese going in here, and we're just going to stir that really well and get it all good and dissolved. I did go ahead and let it heat a little bit longer after I got all this in here, just to make sure that like it actually, you know, everything melted and all that stuff. And then I did end up adding just a little bit of salt after I tasted it. So always make sure you taste your food, especially soup like that. It's so easy to add seasoning to soup. So if you feel like it's missing anything, just add whatever you'd like to add to it, and I'm sure it'll fix it right up. And this was so good, y'all. I mean, like, I really enjoyed it a lot. We actually had some bread we had gotten from Aldi. I think it's like the take and bake bread. And so we just went ahead and baked that in the oven and served that crusty bread with it. And it was so very good. I highly recommend making this one. I just love potato soup. It's always good. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I'd appreciate it if you'd give me a thumbs up. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. I always appreciate you spending a little bit of your day with me. It's always so nice to just, you know, chat with y'all in the comments and everything. So I look forward to that as well. But I hope y'all have a blessed day wherever you are, and I'll see you in the next one.